Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
The time to go racing again is officially here for the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship, and we move slightly further down in the USA country towards the likes of Virginia International Raceway, one of the biggest circuits, 3.24 miles. And got to say to you, I'm quite excited to see what the Porsche 992 can do here at Virginia International Raceway. My name is Tristan Herbst, joined in the commentary box this week by Charles Boschel, as Jeremy is out for this one, and Jim Cunningham bringing all the awesome camera shots from the backside. But Charles, welcome into the commentary box, and I've got to say I'm quite excited to see what the boys in the Porsches can do yet today.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to this, Tristan. It's going to be a fantastic race tonight. I think we're on average as far as field size is concerned, but this is a good test. Virginia International Raceway, long track, lots of technical sections that you're going to have to deal with. But I think they've got the right tool for the job tonight in the Porsche.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and one big thing to mention with VIR is that the road course is generally narrower than a standard racing circuit. So the drivers have already been warned going into tonight's round to be careful with side-by-side action, as well as blind corners. It does happen quite a bit here at VIR, where you do tend to kind of go over a hill of some sort, and you can't necessarily see the end of that corner. And so track knowledge is a key vital point here for today's racing at VIR. And yeah, I've got to say, I've driven this a little bit in some other cars. I haven't done it in the GT3s on the iRacing platform, but I have done it on another platform, and it's a pretty decent circuit, I've got to say, in terms of what the GT3s can do around here. But let's have a look at those points going into this next round of the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship. We'll bring it up for you now. And remember, we do have 4 different categories going into tonight's race. We've got the pro category that is led currently by Blake McGovern, who's actually leading against one of the faster drivers we have here, of Aaron Johnson, by 7 points. Now, Aaron Johnson is here tonight. He wasn't here last week, so he did lose out points there, but he is here tonight to reclaim it. Lonnie Hunter's also here tonight with 33 points to her name. Caden Kelly's here. Griff Asplund in 5th. Erica Hoffman in 6th. Michael Clark in 7th. 8th of Ashley Freiberg, and 9th of Riley Dixon. Unfortunately, those 4, no points this season as of yet. They have not been able to attend one of the races so far. We then move over to our team division, which is all of our drivers who actually work either at or with Kellymoss directly. And obviously, Ted Burns, one of the engineers, leads that with a 74-point charge. Carl Lemkel just behind 3 points. Jacob Harder, we've also seen him have a slight bit of a struggle here this season. He's tried to make up as much as he can, but he didn't have the greatest time last week around. And so he sits in third position. Nathan Warder down in fourth with Chris Bowman in fifth. Cameron Cool sixth with Donnie Leonard in seventh. Luigi Pugliese eighth. And Tommy Dyer, Mark Miller ninth and 10th. Unfortunately, again, those three towards the bottom not able to participate as of yet in any of the races. We then have our second last division of the club members. And these are members who have exclusively signed up with a membership to the Kellymoss for all their exclusive events that they host. So Joseph Holman currently sits first place in that one, and he's been the only driver to be able to contest Aaron Johnson in the past couple of rounds. He sits 104-point lead. Maxwell Fleeman just a bit further behind, 80 points to his name. Anthony Castillo will take third with 78 points. And unfortunately, from fourth downwards, it's drivers who have not been able to make the grid or have not been able to score points. It's Kamari Odom, Jens Hansen, Scott Starwars, Chris Matt Miller, and Alex Vasquez the third. Let's hope we see one of them today who can possibly get some points on the board. And then finally, our VIP class, which is one of the smaller classes out there, but it is currently comprised of three main drivers, Peter McKay, Dan Clark, and Ryan Marine. All three of them here today. And Dan Clark rapidly climbing up this timings tower since he did start slightly later than McKay and Marine. Let's see what he can do going into this next round of VIR. But I got to say, the racing action is pretty close across all of our divisions.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that's the case. Is we've got some pretty quick drivers out here, and sounds like from everything I've heard, we're going to get some challenging within the classes as well as in between classes out on the track. So looking forward to see what these drivers are going to do as we get rolling here in qualifying for this round at VIR.
Yep, 5 minutes into our 20-minute session. And remember that qualifying session is unhinged. The drivers do not have a maximum amount of laps that they can do. They've got as many as they can do in the 20-minute stint. And so it gives them all the time to try and get those lap times in. I believe we do have a track map. I cannot remember if we've got a time slot in between the race and qualifying. My producer will let me know. Or if now is a better time to do it. He doesn't remember either. I think let's do it now. Charles is going to take you around the big old American circuit of Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, let's take a lap around VIR here as we head off down the front straight, and we run into the first big challenge of the race. Is turn one. It's the hairpin. It's very difficult to get the car wrapped around. As we roll out of the hairpin, we'll head down through very easy turn two into turn three, which is NASCAR bend, 90-degree left-hander. We're going to get a lot of wide apex or a lot of wide exits out of there, as we're going to let this map scroll a little bit more before I get a little too far ahead as we're on board here. As you see there, a very easy turn two in the NASCAR bend, which is turn three. And we're, like I said, once again, going to get a really wide run out of there, and that's going to set us up for the corner that is turn four, which is left hook. Another 90-degree left-hander, and then we're going to head into what we call the snake section. This is turn 5, 5A, 6, 6A. So nice little switchbacks here and there. As we roll on through, you'll see the winding little trail. As we head up the hill to the highest point of the track, as we roll on to this very long straightaway here, and we get up into the SS section, which is turn 7, 8, and 9. As we're climbing that hill in the elevation of the track, we make our run around South Bend, which is turn 10, and very difficult corner to get right as we roll through, and we're going to change up our map a little bit there, and there we go. And we'll see South Bend again here. Very easy to get very wide, very late here in turn 10. Get off in the grass. Have to be very careful with your speed and your line going through there. That takes us into Oak Tree, the double right-hander, which no longer has the Oak Tree, sadly, as it is. And that's going to lead us on to the backstretch, longest straightaway on the track. Very, very long run. Going to get a nice draft off the cars around you. That's going to give people opportunities to maybe make a move at the end of this down into the roller coaster section, which is 14, 14A, 15. And that's going to take us back down the hill again, off the plateau, and then down into what we call Hog Pen, which is the final couple corners. There you see turn 17. That leads us back into pit straight and pit lane as well, and the run back to the start-finish line. So there is your guide for VIR tonight.
Yeah, and a pretty simple looking map from above, but as we've already mentioned, there's a couple of those hidden technicalities surrounding VIR, and obviously being a very narrow circuit. And from what you can see down into turn number one, it's a very tight corner, and the concertina effect is going to be uh, definitely played over here. And so the cars will have to watch out as they begin to bunch going into turn number one. And then obviously through the correlating sections of the circuit. A couple of nice long straights, though, for the Porsches to stretch their wings. Fortunately, they aren't contested by any of the other GT3s like the Ford Mustangs or the Mercs. Otherwise, they'd feel it a little bit on those back straights. But for the time being, Aaron Johnson looks like he is going to be setting that fastest lap time. I did mention it that he is back here tonight, 144.298 for Johnson. And looks like he's relatively uncontested for the time being. Joseph Holman about 4 tenths slower than him.
Yeah, good lap, and just increased that to a 144.111. So a nice run there by Johnson. Just you could see that he was on it there. Had four purple sectors out of six on this previous lap. So great run there, stretching that gap out to over a half second over Holman. So that's so we got some guys that have their work cut out for them to try and track Johnson down.
Yeah, and for those who have been following Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship, unfortunately, we have reached past the halfway mark of this championship, as we're already at VIR South. This is round number 5 of this 8 series calendar, and so obviously we've only got 3 tracks left after this. It's Sebring International, it's Indianapolis, and Long Beach to round off that final round, and that's it. Then for this season of the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship. But hopefully they'll be back around for the next season of 2026. For the time being, though, we can make our way still through the season and seeing what the drivers can do. For the time being, most of the drivers trying to make their way around the circuit. I mean, you can see how tight it gets through most of these sections. It's very snaky. It is very narrow. And trying to picture 2 or 3 cars going wide, yeah, man, I can already picture a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. It does have it is much tighter than your normal racing surface. You'll see them fan out 3 wide, probably going down into one, but it's going to be very difficult to sustain that out of the corner as they try and work their way around out of that hairpin down into turns 2 and 3. Turn 3, you might can try and force your way 2 wide through there. Not really that. Not really a good idea. Is this just a very tight line? And there's going to be some like that all the way around the track. You're going to see cars that maybe push it a little too hard through some of the twistier bits, and just makes it difficult to keep the car on the track. So something we'll have to watch out for during the course of the race tonight as they get ready. They're trying to get a feel for the track, as this is one of those as well here in Snake. You just see them basically just clobbering the curbs all the way through, but it's real easy to carry too much speed out of 5A and ends up in trouble, not be able to get the car corralled back onto the track.
Yeah, I think the 2 main talking points, especially with the curbs around this track, like you just mentioned, they do tend to be abused here for the lap time. And the drivers do have to be careful with those curbs because, yes, while they do render the better lap time and that allows the Porsche to get a bit more rotation, VIR, one of the most notorious tracks for track limits and track cuts, and they do have to
Mhm.
worry about going over those curbs a little bit too intensely and receiving a couple of those X incident points. The last thing we do want to see here tonight is those black flags adjacent to the driver's name, meaning that they do have to come in and serve a drive-through penalty, which in any circumstance, no matter the distance of the pit stop or the pit lane, is not ideal whatsoever, especially if you're fighting towards the top for a position of sort. But for the time being, it is still up with Johnson up in front. Not too sure why Dan Clark has got an orange an orange flag. No, never mind. It's yellow now. Seems like it minorly had a bit of a change there, but it is back to the good old yellow. So Dan Clark currently sitting in 4th position, and Johnson is currently in 1st. The selected driver makes sense. I see Holman has currently got a slightly orange hue to him, and it makes a lot more sense. So, but for the time being, it is looking like Holman versus Johnson again. It is the only 2 drivers, but look at the distance. Johnson 6 tenths still ahead of Holman.
Yeah, it's he's got a nice gap back to P2, but the car's behind. Got another behind Holman, you've got another 3 cars that are within a half second. So that's going to make the battle for P2 pick up just a little bit. And pretty much as I'm looking down the screen here, you've got basically the top 10 that are really, really close. So it's going to make life a little difficult for those guys that are trying to work down and track down Johnson during the course of this race. So you're going to have to keep one eye in your rearview mirror pretty much throughout this event, just to try and keep everybody honest as we're working our way through this race tonight.
Yeah, and then you've got a pretty neat aerial view of coming down towards turn number 1. I mean, you can see how much grass lies on the outside embankment of turn number 1. And I did just see somebody in our virtual grandstand saying, going off a T1 at 150 miles per hour makes it memorable. It definitely does, and it's especially because that grass tends to tug you in. And it's not like gravel where it slows the car down. It's not like sand where it kind of beaches you. The grass kind of just lets you slide. And the issue with sliding is that at the end of that grass is a neat little barrier waiting to meet the front side of your Porsche. So the drivers do have to watch out for going into turn number 1, especially on the late brakes and not being able to rotate the car. They do fortunately have the best GT3 car here for rotation, with that engine displacement being all the way at the backside, but they do still have to be cautious of the grass on the outside of this track.
Yeah, it really is. It's as you said, the grass slows you down slightly compared to the racing surface, but not nearly as much as you would hope. Especially when you are barreling off there at 150 miles an hour, it is a little difficult. And there's just a mix of barriers around this track. There's Marshall stands in places that are basically it's just open field except for a tire barrier around the Marshall stand, and you've got Armco on certain sections of the track. So it's a mix. And then, of course, if you go off at the end of this down in hog pen and you run wide, carrying too much speed through there, you're in the grass for a long time. It's very difficult to get the car off the bottom of the racing area back onto the track. It's very bumpy and very hard to get the car back into the gray when you get down there. So let's hope we don't see anybody down in there doing some horticultural work.
Yeah, absolutely so. And I mean, we can see it right now as we're on board with Anthony Castillo. He currently goes through that roller coaster section. And one thing you can definitely notice is the huge drop in gradient.
Mhm.
And this is what we're talking about in terms of blind corners. You come in onto the exit of that back straight. And unfortunately, if you're starting to lose focus and you do miss that break point, well, you're basically just jumping off of a cliff. The road tends to completely disintegrate underneath you, and it dips in quite aggressively towards that roller coaster section. I believe that's why it's called the roller coasters, because it's got quite a wide range of gradient and turning left and turning right. And exactly what Charles says, if you do make a mistake there, you go straight into the grass, and that's going to be quite a difficult one to try and recover, especially if you're in an active race trying to salvage any position that you possibly can. But 17 minutes left. Fleerman, you can see he's got the yellow flag. And we can actually go on board with our Burger man, Mr. Nathan Warder. We'll see it on board for him in terms of what that blindness looks like from the gradient drop. Never mind, we won't. He get to the end a little bit too quickly, but you can see it over there. It kind of just drops into a huge dip towards the right and then again to the left. And so if you're fighting behind someone, you're just looking at Porsche rear bumper, well, you might not remember where the track exactly dips off, and you could be seeing a couple of tires on the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, in a couple sections there, you're getting some pretty serious compression on your suspension that you have to kind of account for. You don't want to take too much into that as well. That will upset the car. It's going to make it very difficult to handle. And you see, I don't know what it is about turn 1, but it just doesn't help you at all. It's almost like it wants to pull you off the track and not allow you to make that corner. It's a very difficult corner. It's deceiving as to how difficult it is. As you see him working his way through 4 there and then back around to 5 and 5A. You got to give him a little bit, just a little lift there to get the car rotated around, and then you can set sail down this straight here, which is not really straight, but it's pretty flat for these GT3 cars. Back up in the elevation, climbing the hill again through the S's section. And then around through here, and then turn 10, which is South Bend. You see them have to lift there to get the car to rotate through, and very nicely done. Almost a double apex right-hander here at Oak Tree. and then back out onto the back straight for that long run down into roller coaster again.
That looked like so far a pretty good lap from Nathan Waters' side.
Mhm.
I'm not too sure what that lap time is going to look like. Unfortunately, it is all yellow for those first couple of sectors, but he really was managing it. And I believe for today's racing, consistency is going to be key. But you can see it here. Look at the uphill and watch how it automatically just dips into a downhill right-hander. And that's exactly what we're talking about. The drivers will have to be cautious about that. Fortunately for most, VIR being a free circuit on iRacing, they've probably, driven this since they started iRacing, whether it's on the formulas of the Mazda MX-5, so they do know this track layout. The question is how well they know it while sitting behind another competitor and not having the best divisions. But Mr. Peter McKay, currently in 8th position, he's fighting for the lead currently of that the VIP division right now. As we do know, Dan Clark, Speedy Dan Clark, as Jeremy calls him, is starting to really change up the VIP scene as he's joined in slightly later, but he is making up the pace as he is currently slightly faster each lap than Ryan Marine, as well as Peter McKay, the only other two drivers in our VIP class.
Yeah, Clark having a good run up in P4, so fastest of the VIPs, and he's just only a couple of tenths off of P2, so he's right in there for challenging for an overall podium tonight.
Yeah, let's hope that he can do something with that because we have seen Dan Clark. Last week at Kota, he started from the back of the grid and he actually managed to work his way all the way up to the podium spot. So now he'll be starting in 4th, just behind that podium spot. And let's hope he can make some work as he chases down on Castillo and Holman. But I believe we have officially reached the end of our qualifying session. The drivers look like they have all packed away their bags and they're ready to go for our main race. Lonnie Ansa looks like she's just going to start a new Nevermind. She's been absolutely demolished by the iRacing gods, and her Porsche gets returned to the garage as we prepare for the main race. But, thoughts going into this one, Charles?
Yeah, it's just going to be. It's one of those tracks that is kind of unknown, and we'll see what happens. It's once again it's a very technical track. It's easier hot lap here than it is to race. So once you get some cars that are side by side, we'll see how it all shakes out. We'll see who the better racer is tonight, and the one that makes the fewest mistakes, I believe, is probably the one that's going to end up with a good result.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and like we did mention earlier, the drivers need to watch out. Oh, and there goes
Cold
somebody
tires.
spinning already on the warm up. That is the cold tire effect indeed of Joseph Holman. He's already trying to get that Porsche up to speed. But one thing definitely to mention is going to be those track limits. I unfortunately feel like we're going to
Mhm.
see that being played yet today. Some of the drivers are going to go for the consistency game and sacrifice those lap times, and the other drivers are going to try and push themselves to the limit. We know that the likes of Aaron Johnson uses those track limits as speed tokens. He kind of
Mm.
uses them wisely to get a bit of speed out on track. I mean, he reports to us at the end. He's like, "Yeah, I had 16 X's. I could have pushed a little bit more, maybe gotten a couple more, and I would have still been fine." And so, he knows how to use them as the speed tokens. It's a little bit of a speed juice. And for some of the other drivers, they rather take it completely safe. But Jim, looks like we've been one-upped by the lobby. Unfortunately, there is a warm-up, which we could have done the track map on, but oh well, we get
Mm.
to chat with you instead.
Yeah, it's just as good here. And I will say you've mentioned the off tracks, the incidents. There are a couple places here that you can get a slowdown, and one of the worst ones is that second right hander at Oak Tree that leads you onto the backstretch. You cut that corner a little too much, and you're going to end up with about a 1 second slowdown, and that is not the place you want to get to have to serve that on the backstretch where you're heading up to max velocity. Before you get to the roller coaster section, you're just going to lose all kinds of time there if you get the slowdown. And there's a couple more of those as well, both in the snake section, and I believe as well as NASCAR bends. So it's one of those things you're going to watch out for and plan accordingly. So you may see some cars slip out of line once we get on that back stretch and have to, lift and lose a couple positions and have to fight their way back up.
Yeah, and all that's going to come to you as we head towards the actual main race here. Joseph Holman, he's learned his lesson. He's going a lot slower around the track, it looks like, and he's not wanting to lose that car again. He actually pulls it into the pit lane. I think he's been frightened by the S's here at Virginia International. But here's Anthony Castillo. He currently sits up in first position as the only driver who has actually gotten a lap time in this practice session. I doubt anybody is actually going to go out in the session. And I see that he's also decided it is over. But that is warm up over, done and dusted, and we are ready to go through that starting grid procedure before we head into this main race. And I've got to say, I am quite excited to see what the drivers can do here around Virginia International Raceway. Like I've mentioned, I've seen formulas race around here. I've seen a couple of other cars race around here. GT3 is not so apparent, but they definitely do have a knack around here on the slightly narrower circuit as we prepare for that main race. But in a moment's time, you will see that starting grid procedure line up on your screen. The pace car is also ready. You can see him in the pit lane. But there it is. Aaron Johnson lines up. It is the 2026 Winter Series. He lines up in first with Joseph Holman just behind in second. Anthony Castillo will take third, followed by Dan Clark from the VIPs in fourth position. Blake McGovern takes fifth position with Maxwell Fleerman in sixth. Ryan Marine takes seventh from the VIP class, and Peter McKay will take eighth. Jacob Harder will take ninth, with Lonnie Unser taking 10th position. Nathan Border, our Burgerman, out on track 11th, and our final driver, Donnie Leonard, down in 12th position. Will have to try and work his way up to get towards the top of the pack.
Oh yes, we're getting ready here, and they're getting ready to pull out of the pit lane for their pace lap. And this is the worst part of VIR is the the lap at 60 miles per hour as we're just kind of tooling around. But it's good for the drivers because they get one last sighting of the track. They get to really kind of focus, just kind of working the muscle memory in, focusing on what they need to do during the race tonight. So it's good for them to kind of ease their way into this race. But it's a little difficult for us broadcasters as we're watching the cars at basically interstate speeds here, working their way around VIR.
Oh man, that is absolutely brutal to have to go around a track like this at 60 kilometers an hour. I've got to say, most of the other tracks on the calendar, we've seen a short formation qualifying where they line up on the final couple of corners. But looks like not yet VIR. We're going to be sitting with the drivers as they make their way around this tough track and keeping those tires very much under pressure because they're not going to have to push too much in the time being. It's Porsche leading Porsches over here 4 hour formation lap. It's going to be a while though, so if you do want to quickly grab something to drink before the racing action starts, I'd say you've got approximately 2 or so minutes to run, and you better run fast because you do not want to miss the start of this race. I mean, if you really want to grab some popcorn, I don't know what the time is for you. I'm definitely not making popcorn at 2:30 in the morning. I think I'd get murdered by the household, but maybe
Uh-huh.
if you've got the capacity, you can do it.
Yeah, it's this is the time if you needed to take a break, get something to drink, settle in. We're gonna have us a pretty good race tonight, though. 12 cars for the GT3 class. This is kind of a small field, but you've got drivers that have been racing with each other now for 4 or 5 weeks, so they're familiar with each other. They know how most of the time they're going to react. So I think this is going to make for a really good race tonight. We'll see if anybody can keep up with Johnson here at the start. I think what the likes of Holman and Castillo don't want is they don't want to be side by side through the corners and give Johnson a chance to get away more than a second or so. They want to try and keep in the draft if they can, and try and use that to their advantage to kind of stay in in arm's length of Johnson here at least in the first section of the race.
Yeah, and I think also what contributes, even though we've got a 12 car pack, I mean, we've got so many drivers from different variations of locations here. I mean, we've got the 4 divisions, and obviously we've got all the pro drivers. These guys are physically used to driving Porsches in real life. They race for Kellymoss and obviously in the Porsche Carrera Cups and all their other sprint series. So they've got all the knowledge and expertise. And then we've also got the VIPs. I mean, that's a mixture of our coaches and our commentators, and Ryan Marine and Peter McKay are no unfamiliar names whatsoever. They were obviously there with Daytona and a couple of other big events. So it's great to see them still out on the grid over here. Yes, Dan Clark. And Dan Clark is actually the coach to one of the drivers on grid, and that is Blake McGovern. So this time around, he actually starts just alongside his student. It is going to be red versus green, as you can see them in the mid-pack there lined up. It's coach versus student, and we'll have to see. But he has on the back row the hamburgers and beers. It's a pretty good combination. Let's hope that they can make it past turn 1 though.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, I ate before I came in here. So maybe a beer after the race. I think that might be the key to this. So yeah, here we go, coming down through the roller coaster section one last time at pace speed, and we'll be ready to get underway here in just a minute.
Indeed, just a minute's time. The gantry lights are already lined up on top of your screen, so you can see it. As soon as it goes green, Aaron Johnson is going to be jumping the rest of this grid like he notoriously does. But on that main straight, heading down towards turn number 1, it's still being held off there by Johnson. Watch and wait for when he decides to pull off, as he is going to make it unsuspected. It's green lights and away we go. Johnson is off, and it looks like he's already been able to keep a good lead there up in front. It is still going to be Joseph Holman alongside. He has not been able to get alongside his Imbatamato. Wish to this contact in the back though, and that Harter, he's gone off and lost the front bumper, unfortunately. He tried to take the inside line. Looks like of Peter McKay. Somebody's off as well. That's Dan Clark, one of our speedy Dan Clarks, unfortunately, who we haven't seen had any spins this season, has now lost the car coming into turn number 1. Nathan Ward is also dropping down that grid. But my goodness, we thought turn number 1 was going to be chaotic. I didn't think it was going to be 3 cars chaotic.
No, absolutely not. But that is kind of the nature of racing here. Going down into turn 1 with cold tires with a full pack, and it only takes one little mistake for bigger things to happen, and looks like that's what happened here at the start of this race. We do have a car that's missing the front splitter there further back. I think that's Myron in the back of the field that's got some front damage. As we have other cars going through here, and here's Myron. So it is Myron, and it's not him that has the damage that I don't think, we'll have to see that. As we got another spin there, it's the beer car. And we'll catch that in a minute.
Unfortunately spilled. Yeah, he spilled all over the track. Come on, man. You can't be spilling all over a racetrack. But in any case, I'm pretty sure it was Harter on the inside. You can see he's there trying to look up on the inside of Marine. And there you see the clip. And the silver bumper just completely gets disconnected and into the track it'll go. What happened to Clark, though? Did he just get a little bit of over-rotation on the outside? Indeed, he did. Nice and cold tires, like Charles mentioned. And there he gets sucked into the grass. A little bit difficult to get out of. He's got to flick that car out and hopefully not lose it. Thankfully for Dan Clark, lots of experience. He doesn't lose it. Back up, though, to what we saw, just to see if we can see anything else happen from the chopper view from the backside. So you can see there's Nathan Harder. There's the beer car at the backside. And trying to look where Harter actually kind of broke.
He was looking. There was an opening there, and as soon as he decided he was going to go for it, the car in front just moved. As you see, there's Clark already backwards coming out of the corner there. So he went for a gap, and that gap no longer existed by the time he got there. He was late on the brakes, and at that point, nothing he could have done. He locked it down, but that was never going to play out. And as we see, Johnson already off to a big start here, up almost 1.7 over Holman early in this race.
Well, thankfully, Johnson doesn't have too many sponsors to show in his car books. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be displayed too much more tonight. He's pulling away already and pulling a Max Verstappen. We know how upset Oracle got when they weren't being showed enough on the screen. But what can you do when you've got a driver who's pacing 15 seconds faster than the rest of the grid? So let's see what Johnson can do for the rest of this. But back onto the onboard of Peter McKay. And as you can see, he's chasing onto the likes of Castillo. Fleerman a little bit further behind him. He is currently the leading driver of the VIP classes. Both Clark and Marine didn't have the best of starts to this race, and they both fall down to 9th and 11th position. So it's up to P4 overall for Peter McKay, but it is first position in that VIP class. Let's see if he can hold it, though, for the Martini. We did see he had a bit of action last week at Kota with the other division races. Yeah, we have Lonnie Ansa, the all-female driver, 92 car badge on the side of that 992, chasing onto the backside now of Fleerman. This isn't for division position. It is for overall position, though, and she's trying to look for somewhere to overtake, possibly down into turn number 1. You can see she's getting closer and closer each lap as it goes, and Fleerman still, he's obviously part of the club membership. It is club versus pro, and we'll have to see how that scales. Clark already, though, climbing back up the board.
Yeah, Clark already coming back up to P8. Unser doing a great job there, obviously up 4 positions since the start of the race. Was able to get through all the mayhem there at the very beginning, and she's set sail, and now she's got Fleerman in her sights. She's going to try and get the draft here down this snaking straightaway as we work our way up to the top of the track and see if she can find a way to make a move.
I'm seeing the virtual grandstand. Somebody saying put some entertainment ballast in Johnson. It's no longer fun to watch him do what he does. And I've got to say, it is rather saddening to see him all the way up in front. And Holman is uncontested for the time being, 2.5 seconds. And yeah, I agree with that. Our producer saying every single win he gets, that's an extra 20 kilograms of ballast, and actually slap it onto the
Yeah.
front as well so it doesn't rotate. And then we'll have an interesting race with Johnson and see what he can do. I think he'll be on pace then with the rest of the grid. And I mean, Johnson even comes into these with like minimal practice. We spoke to him the one time and he's like, yeah, no, I didn't have that much time to practice, just like jumped onto the track with 40 minutes or so. And this is what he does with the 40 minutes practice. So I'd hate to see what he does in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we just give him a qualifying ban for the next round and he starts from the back. And then we can watch him work his way up through the field and see how that goes. I don't know. Maybe that's the key to this is we'll just kind of watch him work his way through. We'll put him and Clark back there and see who can get to the front first. As we're on board here with Fleerman working his way around into turn one, starting on lap 4 here. And he has got Peter Mackay in his sights a half second back, so he's trying to work that down as he's still getting chased down by Lonnie Unser just behind in P6. So nice little battle brewing here between these 3 cars.
Yeah, indeed. And those battles are just going to start to escalate further. You can see on that timings tower, unfortunately, that most of the yellow and orange figures, which represent under 1 second and under 5/10 respectively, have started to disappear. There is still a bit of a battle going on there between Castillo, Fleerman, and Lonnie Unser. As you can see, they've all got the yellow border next to their name. That still represents that they are about just under a second. It's now no longer there for Castillo, as he is losing out to Holman, 1.2 seconds of a gap. And so hopefully the racing can begin to scale a bit more. Fleerman is looking all over the backside of Peter Mackay, and it's almost actually turned into an orange number now. It is under that 5/10 mark. Clark is also catching up, so he'll also provide a little bit of action. He's catching onto the backside of his student now. Let's hope he doesn't go too hard on him with the defensive maneuvers here, but Clark still trying to chase 4 positions down since the start of the race.
Yeah, I'm just kind of watching the timing here. It looks like we're gaining about 3 to 4 tenths of a second down this backstretch from the draft. So that's going to make things interesting as these cars get closer together. They start doing more battling. If they start getting side by side, then you're going to see more cars joining the fray. So you want to make sure that if you're going to make a pass, you want to make it stick and keep going. Otherwise, you're going to invite more trouble. But great run by Clark so far. He's cutting that gap back down to McGovern. And so it'll be student versus teacher here very shortly, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Indeed, and as you see them rounding now down towards turn number 1, this is where Dan Clark obviously lost his number 50 car, but it looks like he's fully into this race now. He's not going to lose it again. Here is the likes of Peter Mackay, and he has been relaxing, but unfortunately the relaxation is over because Fleerman and Lonnie Unser, as we mentioned, not for position, but still for overall track position, and they're wanting to chase up to possibly get up towards Johnson as they're fighting in the same division as Johnson, but obviously, I don't know if that's going to happen to, quite frankly, in this race, but still they can attempt to try and chase up towards it. There in the background, you can see the green and the red, the Christmas tree combo behind of Blake McGovern and Dan Clark as they continue to try and chase it around. Dan Clark is getting closer and closer. He was slightly faster through Sector 2, Sector 1 slightly slower. And now, as you can see, McGovern is actually doing okay-ish, I'd guess, through the first couple of sectors. Dan Clark not able to catch him directly, as we saw with Nathan Warder, as that was about 2 to 3 tenths per sector faster than Warder. But here, as you can see, McGovern is actually proving for Sector 1 and Sector 3 slightly faster. So he's doing pretty well. It seems like he's been taught well. I wonder who's been taught by. No, I'm kidding. As they currently chase still down towards the end of that back straight towards roller coaster. And the fight still continues between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. They are still getting a little closer each time, but yeah, McGovern doing a good job of matching the pace of his teacher behind of Clark, but they're also gaining on the 3 cars that are up in front. That's Unser, Fleerman, and McKay. So maybe we have a 5-car battle brewing, and we're just going to need a couple of laps to get that second pair a little closer to that top 3 here.
Oh, well, you're talking about getting them closer. It looks like Fleerman's not going to wait that longer. He's going side by side now with Peter Mackay. It's the 419 versus the 935. Who's it going to be between the two? It's the white Porsche versus the slightly darker black Porsche. with all the flaming cool liveries all over it. He's going side by side through such a tight section. My goodness, what a great move from Vleerman. I think McKay did kind of give it, but still, what a great dive there from Vleerman to get up ahead. I think McKay knows that this is not exactly his battle. Lonnie Unser will also try and get ahead shortly. But the battle for McKay, he has got to watch out because Clark is just a little bit outside of the sandwich between the two pro drivers that he's currently fighting with. And once Dan Clark starts to catch up, well, he's going to have a bit of a track day trying to keep him at bay.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of watching that before that battle there through 3 and 4. The gap back to McGovern was about 2.8 seconds. Now it's 1.3. So that little battle that Vleerman and Mackay had there at the beginning has brought that second pair up a little bit closer, even more quickly than I was actually thinking. So they're going to be right in here in short order, and it's going to be a 5-car train. And that's really going to make for some really good racing as we get later in this race and things get a little more aggressive.
Indeed, sir. But we're just going to have to still wait and see when those positions are going to be changing up. As you can see, the back two, like Charles mentioned, they are chasing onto the backside of the other three to make that longer 5-car train. Still going to take a little bit of time, though. As you can see, Blake McGovern is slowly getting closer and closer to Lonnie Unser. I'm not too sure if we can get the lap time comparison between the two of them. We've currently got it between McGovern and Clark, but I'd like to see between McGovern and Lonnie Unser to see how much he's chasing onto the backside of Unser and when he possibly might catch up. We'll see if we can grab that. There it is there. It's McGovern and Unser. So Sector 1, Unser was 8/10 slower than McGovern. And unfortunately, he's actually already caught up on the backside of the female driver. It is now very, very close between them. She had a little bit of a moment there between Sector 1 and 8/10 of a time slower is enough to put the green Porsche right on your backside.
Yeah, absolutely. She made a little bit of a mistake coming out of turn 3, out of NASCAR bend, and just ran a little wide, and that cost her quite a bit of time. So she's dropped off the back of that Mackay and Vleerman battle, and now she's kind of joined the McGovern and Clark battle. But still, that gap is still closing down. So it's still going to be, in a couple more laps, we'll probably see them all nose to tail as they're working their way. And now you see Clark giving a little bit of a bump draft there to McGovern coming down this backstretch.
Yeah, let's hope they don't do too much as they come towards the end of the straight. Hate to go 3 wide or possibly worse down here as we see. Dan Clark's actually going to take his leap now, and indeed he does. He puts himself in between the two pro drivers of the likes of McGovern and Lonnie Unser. He's hungry to chase onto the backside of Peter McKay and makes it a very swift move onto the inside of his student driver. So for the number 8 in 8th position of Dan Clark, the number 50 car, he's now chasing onto the backside of Lonnie Unser, which I assume is going to try and gain this position into turn number 1. Let's see if he's got the runoff or if he's going to have to wait and be patient for the next couple of corners. Looking on the inside, though, he's trying to put a little bit of intimidation on the backside of Lonnie Unser there, possibly try and force her into an error. As we do know, that is a pretty well-known racing strategy, but we still see him looking all over, trying to find it in that red Porsche.
Yeah, I don't think with the last name of Unser, you're going to be able to rattle her. I just think that's probably not going to happen. I think she's got plenty of racecraft, and she's not going to be intimidated by the kind of the look before the lunge there going into 1. So he's going to have to come up with something a little better than that, I think, to get by Lonnie.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. She's, like we mentioned, she's one of the pro drivers. She drives a real-life Porsche. And so she's seen a real car in a mirror, and I feel like that's a lot scarier than seeing a virtual car in your mirrors. So as you can see, she's still managing the big brake light bar. And I mean, Clark just keeps on doing the same thing over and over. He puts the nose on the inside, pretends like he's going to lunge, hoping that Unser would react and try and cover that inside line and ruin her runoff into the back straight. But she is glued to this track, and he's actually losing time now to Lonnie Unser. I'm not going to lie to you. Looks like Unser has become screwed on yet again. She is trying to chase onto the backside of McKay, and we might see a switch again between Clark and McGovern if he cannot get past Unser. She seems settled once again, and now it is a perfectly 3-way fight between the 3 of them, Unser to Clark to McGovern, and it is green versus red versus white and red. Who's going to come out on top? We'll have to see. It's all going to be the battle of consistency as they come rounding yet again towards turn number 1.
Yep, so far pretty standard fare. We'll see what Clark does here. He's still looking to the inside, got a pretty decent run, but now he's got McGovern coming on the outside, looking to see if he can go the long way around, and that's going to keep him a little more focused on what's behind as opposed to what's ahead. And you just see there's just not enough there. There's not enough support there. You want to run wide there, and in one, it just it's so difficult to make that work. Is now Clark now looking into the inside, going in NASCAR bend. Unser covers that off nicely, and they're coming around through turn 4.
Yeah, let's hope that this doesn't end up as we unfortunately sometimes suspect it will. But I trust with the pro drivers and the level of experience that we've got here on the grid that these drivers will plant it correctly. Slowdown penalty for Dan Clark. There comes the first slowdown as he does ramp the curbs a little bit too intensely, and that's given himself the penalty. And through goes Blake McGovern again. He's lost a lot of time to this front running pack, though, and he's going to have to try and work up quite a bit of time. Jake Harder in 12th position has made his way back onto circuit after his unfortunate bumper tap at the start of the race, and he is a while long a margin away, 14 seconds behind Marine, and Marine being 15 seconds behind Donnie Leonard. So unfortunately for those drivers behind, they're going to have to work really hard if they want to try and render something in this race, but we're almost already at the halfway mark, so not too much time to play with here.
Yeah, not too much at all. And I'm just going to look, and the last lap, Harder was about 2 seconds slower than our leader, Johnson, who did 44.3, just cruising around by himself with a 6-second lead. So we might have to start looking at maybe a couple of these cars that may end up being lap traffic here before the end of this race. And anytime you run into lap traffic, could end up with trouble there. Is Johnson still kind of putting the pressure on? It was ran to the very edge there coming out of NASCAR bend. And so he's not checking up just because he's got a nice comfortable lead. He's really pushing the car hard.
Yeah, and I mean, that's typical Johnson style. He's not going to forfeit this whatsoever, even though he's in the lead. I see Leonard has had some form of issue. I'm not too sure if it's a disconnect or if he's hit the wall or something and decided to take it straight to the pit lane, but he is officially out of this race for the time being, and down to 12th. He will go. Harder moves up into first, into 11th, apologies. And so here is the likes of the driver we just saw going out, Donnie Leonard. Was this possibly a damage error? Was it disconnect? Coming through that oak tree section, loses the rear, and off the grass he will go. I wonder, I don't know, I don't feel like that was enough to pull it back to the pit lane.
I don't know. No, not enough contact to force him to go back to the pit lane. But I think he may have just said it's Miller time, and it said that's the end. That's it for the end for this race today. So we'll go watch the rest of this from the comfort of my lazy boy as opposed to my rig.
Definitely so. But that three-way battle has indeed become apparent once again because Dan Clark has caught up to them. Lonnie Ansa, unfortunately, hasn't been able to keep Blake McGovern too much at bay. He is right on the backside there of that Porsche driver of her car, the number 92, versus the 24 of Blake McGovern, and Dan Clark, number 50, is looking all over the place after that slowdown penalty. I think he's quite hungry. He just wants to get past now, as he knows Peter McKay is running away with this, unfortunately. The longer he stays behind these two, the better chance that Peter McKay has got to drive away with this race. And so he is doing everything possible to try and get past now, but he's got to make it clean and he's got to make it stick without getting a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And just still not able to make the move around Unser. She's doing a great job of maintaining that, playing a defensive line going down into one. And so still hanging on to that P6, but they are losing time now to Mackay up in P5. That gap is up to 3.5 seconds. So this battle is preventing them to get a little further up into the running order as they're basically battling each other currently for P6, as opposed to kind of maybe working together or at least letting everything breathe for a couple laps and see if they can make the time up to P5.
Yeah, I would say if they want to show true form of sportsmanship, I would say the best thing they could do is actually let Clark go by, as Ansa and McGovern are currently in their own fight. Clark is wanting to try and get ahead of both of these two. He's not actually concerned about trying to get in between their fight. He wants to chase Mackay a little bit further up in front. You can see the white Porsche is now 3.7 seconds ahead. And the longer that Dan Clark sits behind these two trying to fight for position, the worse it's going to be for him. So in my opinion, I would actually just let Dan Clark go. He would be much less stress on the backside there of Blake McGovern. Rather just let him go and chase up in front, because he already goes side by side. He's made the move. Can he hold it, though, through roller coaster? The two drivers who are very familiar with working with each other, very much side by side, and thankfully no contact between the two. And now his only objective is trying to get clear of Unser. Let's hope he doesn't get another penalty that will force him out. Oh, Blake getting a little bit of grass. Thankfully, he manages to keep it and doesn't lose the car.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the very edge of adhesion there, and he did a good job to keep that car on the gray as Clark has made his way through and now looking to see if he can get around Unser. And I think there is something to be said for that. If he gets up to the front of this little group, they basically get the benefit of the draft off of them, and that'll pick up their lap times as well. But Unser just not wanting to give that position up. She says you're going to have to pass me the hard way, and you're going to have to make it. We have to work for it. So kudos to her for not just moving over and giving the position up, but maybe to the detriment of all three as they're still losing time to Mackay up front.
Yeah, definitely so. And like you mentioned, that draft would actually benefit both of them. But the question is it going to be in the favor of Unser, or is it going to actually play negatively towards her? She knows what Blake McGovern can do behind, and so maybe she's just trying to keep the drivers at bay here and hold off that position. But in all seriousness, if she does let Dan Clark go, she's actually not losing any position. She will lose overall of sixth position, but it actually doesn't matter in the long run because points get distributed through each division, so she doesn't get any points extra for being in that overall sixth position. I would just let Dan Clark go, let him chase onto the backside of Mackay, because that gap is 4.9 seconds now. It is extending by about a second a lap that Unser leads this. And now side by side through roller coaster, is he going to be able to manage to keep it as a stick? Indeed, he does. It is a great move from the likes of Dan Clark up on the inside there of the roller coaster section. And now the mission is to chase onto the backside of the likes of Peter McKay.
Yep, textbook move there going into the roller coaster section is exactly how you want to do it. And so now the gap 4.7 up to Mackay in P5, and we've got the battle here between Fleerman and Mackay is starting to heat up. That's going to help those cars behind as they start battling through corners. They're going to lose time hand over fist, and you can see the gap already down to 4.2 back to Clark. So now 3.8. So you see that just dropping like a stone as they're working their way through here as the battles are heating up, and it's going to bring new challenges for everybody, I think, here very soon.
Yeah, definitely so. And let's hope that this battle can continue going on there for the likes of Fleeman and Mackay, so that Clark, Unser, and McGovern hopefully can stick as a three-way pack as they glue onto the backside with the slipstream. It's actually side by side there with Unser and McGovern. I just saw it in the background. McGovern is looking all over to try and get past Unser, and she keeps on going defensive and not allowing him to go past. And remember, these two are fighting for actual division position. So this is some great defensive action coming from Lonnie Unser as she tries to keep McGovern at bay. He's got to overtake her the normal style. No freebies coming in here for any of the drivers, and he's going to have to work really hard because Unser's defensive game has been absolutely phenomenal here so far this race.
Yeah, it really has, and unfortunately, they're losing Clark a little bit. They're 1.3, which is kind of just at the edge of the draft range for these cars. You don't want to go much beyond that, so she's still getting a little bit of a draft off of Clark, but not nearly the pull she was getting when it was a half second. So they're gonna have to do something, and if McGovern wants to track him down, which I think McGovern's got enough speed to pick up the pace there, he's going to have to come up with something, and he's right on the bumper there of Unser as they head away past the start-finish line down into turn one. He's going to try the wide line again as she goes defensive on the inside. Is he going to be able to late break? And so far, he's got about 3/4 of a car ahead. Is he going to be able to clear it? He does. So nice move by McGovern there to get past Unser. So that's going to move him up to P7, and more importantly, that's going to give him the spot there over Unser in their group.
Yeah, that's second position now for McGovern in that pro division, and Unser unfortunately moves on to third. Thankfully, it's a podium for all three of them still, but I think she definitely wanted that second over the third. But now, as you can see, that gap between Clark and McKay is dropping drastically. It was 5 seconds about a lap and a half ago. It's already down to 2.5 seconds between Clark and McGovern. Between McKay and Clark. And between McGovern and Clark, it's obviously extended quite a bit since the battle between McGovern and Unser. But now it's the mission of McGovern to try and catch onto the backside of Clark as McKay and Fleerman still busy battling out with each other. Unfortunately, from there on, it's a 13-second gap between Fleerman and Castillo. And so I don't think that's going to be caught up unless we see somebody going round and round. So for the time being, this is what the fixated order is going to look like.
Yep. So just looking at our timing and scoring software, and I will say that McGovern is running faster than Fleerman, so he is gaining on them, gaining on that front group. Unser running about the same pace as Fleerman, so it's nothing in it between those two. So she's going to be able to get the benefit of that draft off of McGovern. That's going to help her as well, pick up her lap time. And Clark is on a charge to get up there. As you see, Mackay looking late lunge down into one. Luckily, no contact between him and Fleerman as they get through turn one, but now that gap is 1.3, and here comes Clark.
Here comes Clark indeed, and he's really starting to catch up onto the backside. All that McKay wants now is to get ahead of Fleerman and put a car in between himself and Dan Clark. Otherwise, he's at a very aggressive position here to lose the lead of the VIP class, and Clark is absolutely hungry for it. He started in 4th. He's down to 6th after an unfortunate spin at the start of this race. And I have a feeling, it actually played out well for him because he's had quite a lot of battling this race instead of just sticking it out in 4th and being in a bit of no man's land, which is where Castillo and Holman currently are, as well as Johnson, the top 3, all in their own no man's land. But for the battle for 4th position, it's Fleerman to Mackay to Dan Clark. As Dan Clark has officially joined this 3-way battle, it is now equal between the 3 of them. And now let's see, what can Dan Clark do to get ahead of Peter McKay?
Yeah, here we go. So first attempt here for Clark. He's going to look. Let's see if he sits back and maybe studies Mackay's lines just a little bit to find the right move, or if he's just going to be very aggressive and look for the first available opportunity here to make a run.
Yeah, let's see if he's going to be able to do it in the next couple of laps. He is getting closer and closer onto the backside of that Martini Porsche 992, but he's going to have to make the position stick the correct way around. There's no free positions here for him, and this is the battle for the division, so you know that McKay is not going to give it up that easily. He's going to have to work quite hard for it and find a spot to park that red Porsche and push it up towards the top of this grid. But Fleerman has actually extended his gap now between himself and McKay, and he is pulling away slightly. And so for McKay, he's just putting himself in a bit of a danger zone. He actually goes for a deep lunge there for some reason. He's completely ruined his exit speed over here coming into the next corner. And look at how much closer Dan Clark is now through the next couple of sectors.
Yeah, it does. But see, Mackay there just took a very narrow line through turn 2 to try and cut off the charge of Clark there as he kept it. Clark basically centered on the track, and that hampered Clark coming into turn 3. So that's kind of brushed that battle off for just a minute as Clark will reset 7/10 back. He'll get another nice little pull here up the hill. A little bit of toe off the cars in front as McGovern is now starting to close the gap down. It's to 2 seconds. So, and he's got Unser in tow only about 1 second back. So, still kind of working themselves together here as Mackay is desperate to get by, it must be said, Fleerman, to try and get that rear guard between himself and Clark.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and do everything that he possibly can over here. And I agree with you 100%. I think his best strat here is to try and get ahead of Fleerman. And then he's got that rear guard. He's got a little bit of protection inside of this Oreo sandwich between himself and Dan Clark. And so let's see if he can do it. He is getting slightly closer there to Fleerman. As you can see, he's starting to push the car a bit more. And I believe that is going to be obviously his best interest is to get up into that 4th position slot. And hopefully Fleerman will actually defend against Dan Clark. I mean, he's been defending this entire time against Peter McKay, and he hasn't been able to get up ahead. So let's hope that if Peter McKay does get up ahead, Fleerman will be able to hold off against Clark. Harder gets a yellow flag from going off the track limits over there, unfortunately. It's not going to affect him too much, though. He's already down 11th position with a 20-second gap. And McKay looking everywhere to try and make his way around the likes of Fleerman as they come through the next couple of corners. Is he going to be able to do it on the uphill S's? Or is he going to have to wait patiently? Here he goes. It's a dive up the inside line there for McKay. I believe that Fleerman made a slight error there going into the next corner. But now he's trying to defend off. And indeed, Dan Clark has been blocked off. He's pushed his way already. And unfortunately for Peter McKay, his strategy has completely gone out the door. Dan Clark saw it coming, pushes his way ahead of Fleerman. And Fleerman loses 2 positions in 1 chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. Great move by Mackay to make that lunge to the inside of turn three. Had a nice run through there as maybe Fleurman went a little wide, but Mackay saw the opportunity, took it. Unfortunately, Clark was way too close and was able to go through the open door as well before Fleurman could get a chance to close it. And now Fleurman's looking to try and get those positions back. You saw a little bit of bump there coming out of 12, out of the oak tree section, as those cars got very, very close together. And now it's game on between Mackay and Clark for P4 overall, but more importantly, the lead in the VIP class.
Yeah, this is the main battle right now around it. As you can see in the background, McGovern's also joined this four-way battle, and none of these positions ahead are actually going to affect his overall positioning. And I believe he's just going to be in here to actually cause a bit of chaos and throw the drivers up in front off. But we'll have to see if Clark gets ahead of McKay. I believe he's going to start to run away with this because he's got quite a bit of a gap towards McGovern behind. The question is, how well is McKay going to defend into the next couple of corners? 10 minutes left of racing. It is officially hit the clock now. What can Clark do to try and get ahead? And what can McKay do to keep that Porsche up in front for the next 10 minutes? It's just a couple of laps of defending that he's got to do. Can he do it? Or will he succumb to the battle behind between himself and Dan Clark? Only time is going to tell. This seems to be where Clark is strong, as he knows where to plant the car through these S's. And as you can see, he's right on the backside of Peter McKay, causing quite a lot of stress behind. And now McGovern right on the backside of Fleerman as well. This is the main battle, looking all over. Is he going to go side by side up the S's? This could get a little bit dangerous. He does pull out, thankfully, and I don't think that would have ended well.
No, it would not have ended well. That was probably a four-car wreck there that just didn't happen, as they were side by side there through the S's section. And now he's going to take a look here. We'll get a wide entry, nice tight exit out to get a good run down the straightaway here. As you see the pairs lining up here, Clark and Mackay in front, Fleerman and McGovern in back, and Unser still closing up. So she's not out of this yet as these cars continue to battle here headed down the back straight.
Yeah, and I feel like that this battle is going to only continue. Never mind, it's actually been Dan Clark who makes the dive, and McGovern's also doing it behind. It's a two-way fight between two cars over here, but Dan Clark has been able to make it stick. Unfortunately, McGovern gets forced backwards there by Fleerman, and just not enough to make that position stick. But Dan Clark now into the lead of that VIP class. McKay is going to have to work and do everything he possibly can to keep up, because here comes McGovern alongside Fleerman. He's got the inside line as well, and looks like he's already made the position stick before turn number one has even become a thing. And now it is going to be McGovern chasing onto the backside, trying to keep up with his coach. And now it is trouble for McKay, because if McGovern gets in front of him and creates a bit of a sandwich gap, well, he's going to have to work extremely hard to try and get the lead of the VIPs back.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see, he's still looking for an opportunity there to make a move and get that car side by side with Clark, and just nothing doing. And so, no, is that up? There we go. Slow down. Yeah, just too far. Tried to push too hard out of 5A, and that's going to slow him down. That's going to give both those positions up, and he's going to drop down into P7, unfortunately, for Mackay. And I was going to say that earlier about Clark. Clark had already got a slowdown in that section, and has done a good job of not repeating that. But now you see Mackay just too much over the curb there, and that cost him 2 spots.
Yeah, 2 spots indeed, and those are 2 crucial spots at this point of the race. 7 minutes left to go, and unfortunately for him, this is going to be quite the battle, and I don't think he's got it in him anymore to chase onto the backside of Clark. He's already pulled a second ahead of McGovern, and there's already 2 cars in between Mackay and Clark, and they're going to have to work hard for that one. A little bit further behind, this is Marine, I believe, on Harder, I believe. Yes, Harter, no, that's Johnson, sorry, the number 25. Not the number 99. So he's officially lapping, and there you go, Charles. The lapping effect has started. He's just lapped the first driver with 7 minutes left to go in this race.
Yeah, and I don't know that he's going to have time to get to the next one. Myron is another 20 seconds or so up the road. So I don't know if the pace difference is going to be enough. We'll kind of keep an eye on it, though, as Johnson's still stretching that gap. It's now 10 seconds over Holman. Castillo, 6.5 backed in P3. And you see this battle still going on now. Mackay challenging Fleerman again. These guys have been fighting pretty much tooth and nail the entire race, and now Mackay wants by this car in the worst way. He wants a chance to get back up to Clark and challenge for that position.
Yeah, and he's going to have to work really hard, yeah, if he wants to try and get ahead of Fleerman. Obviously, it doesn't matter if he gets ahead or not, but, it would be good to try and gain a little bit of track position there after the slowdowns the number 935 has had. For the Martini Racing team over there in the Golden VIP division, unfortunately for the team class, it's actually been very quiet. Nathan Warder leads that team class down in 9th position with Jacob Harder down in 11th and Leonard down in 12th. Unfortunately for them, it is not looking too good on the team class. They're nowhere near the top here of the club pro or VIPs as they all try and chase down. And Holman still holding off second from Castillo, and he is not catching as well. So Holman, Castillo, Johnson look pretty confirmed yet to finish off the podium spot. And Clark as well has got a little bit of pressure from behind from McGovern, but obviously he'll keep the lead of the VIP class, but that 4th position could definitely change coming towards the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely could. Yeah, McGovern's not giving up that just yet, as he is still battling to try and track down Clark and keep that battle close there, as you can see with you see side by side and just in the background there between Fleerman and Mackay. Mackay on the outside looking to see if he can make the move going down into one with Unser closing ground, still looking to get back into that battle.
And 5 or so minutes left. Somebody in the virtual grandstand is asking about the how the structuring of the points works in terms of where the drivers are sitting currently. So Joe indeed is 2nd overall. Joe Holman is in 2nd overall, but he is 1st in class. So that's the correct terminology to call it. 1st in class. You can see it there represented on the left-hand side. So Holman is 1st in the club members. And then, obviously, as you mentioned, Johnson has got a rocket strapped to him. Indeed, he does. He's up in 1st position and holding off quite strong from the rest. You can see from this view, it almost looks like McGovern is 3/10 behind him, but look at the number borders. It is 1st for Johnson and 5th for McGovern. And so it is actually an 11-second gap between Johnson and Holman currently. And I believe he's just extending it as this race goes on.
Yeah, that's basically been his MO for the entire the last lap for both Johnson and Holman was only 400 for a second, but Johnson was still faster. But I think he's turned it down just a little bit during the course of this. No, I say that, and he just threw a 44.09. So with an off track, I believe if I was reading that right, could be wrong, but yeah. So still setting a blistering pace. Maybe that slow lap was when he was making the move around the lap traffic that cost him a little bit of time. But yeah, still far and away the fastest car out on the track.
Yeah, definitely so. And Duarte Miller in the virtual grandstand saying he's won every race he started. Indeed, that is correct. Every single race of the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship for the 2026 Winter Series that Johnson has started, he has finished it, leading the entire grid. And obviously, last week at Kota, he did not make an appearance, so it was a nice fight there for Holman and Bowman as well, who is not yet tonight, but he fights in the team category. So the two of them are having quite a go at it for the race lead. But Johnson still sitting nicely up in 1st position. He's actually not the leader currently of his division. McGovern is the leader of that pro division, and that's just due to the race missed by Johnson. But after today's racing events, unfortunately, he will move back down to 2nd as Johnson will move up to 1st. We officially have 2 minutes left on the board here, and the fighting is still happening between McKay Fleerman and Lonnie Unser has also joined a little bit further on in the back.
Yep, she has indeed, with Mackay there with a flash of the lights saying, hey, I'm still back here. Maybe as we see McGovern there going wide, coming through out of 11 into 12. Just ran a little bit deep and going to lose himself a little bit of time there. This gap is now 9/10 of a second. McGovern was doing a good job of keeping pace, but I don't know that he's going to have the pace to get by Clark without Clark making error. And now we've got this nice 3-car battle here between Fleerman, Mackay, and Unser. Unser has closed the gap down, and she's looking to see if she can maybe pick up a position here before the end of this with about 2 minutes left. I'm sorry, about a minute left.
Yeah, about a minute left indeed, and we'll have to see where Johnson is currently out on track, because with 9 seconds left of racing here, I believe it is still going to be one more lap in terms of where he is on track. You can see he's there through the S's now, And this is officially the white flag lap for all the drivers. Once Johnson comes across the line again, it will be checkered flag. So the drivers will have to make all their final positions and changes now, as we do see the number one going through row 3. There's a mistake there from Fleerman, and McKay's going to move up now into 6th position. Can Lonnie Unser try and jeopardize as well and get up in front? Fleerman's actually fighting back. It's nice to see the fighting is scaling all the way to the last 30 seconds. Unfortunately, it's not for position, but it is still a good amount of fighting. McKay is trying to get all over, squirming around that number 419, and he has indeed made it stick now towards the end of it.
Yeah, just took advantage of that as Fleerman went a little wide going into one, maybe lost the front end just a little bit, had to catch the car and gave Makai the opportunity to take it to the inside. And now Unser looking for that move as well, as she's only 2/10 back. So this race for those drivers is not over yet, as we see Unser out on the board making the move. So maybe there was definitely a pass there, but I wonder if what happened with Fleerman, and maybe another mistake was made.
Checkered flag indeed, and checkered flag has been called. Johnson has come across the line while we were busy chatting over there in 1st position yet again. Holman comes across in 2nd, and Castillo will come across in 3rd. But here's where the main battle is trying to get those final overall positions, and Unser has gotten ahead of Fleerman as well. So what on earth has happened to Fleerman? He's lost his consistency in the final lap, and he's lost 2 positions through the mid-sector of this race. He got a bit of an off-track, and that's what slowed him down. Unser saw the opportunity, dived up onto the inside line, and moved up into 7th position. So it's going to be McGovern in 4th. Dan Clark is going to get there up in 5th in the lead of the VIPs. McKay will settle for 6th, but 2nd overall, 2nd in class. Unser will take 7th overall and 3rd in class. Fleerman a little bit disappointed after that one. Will move down to 8th position overall.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as how McGovern got around Clark. We didn't see that on the screen. So nice job by McGovern to get that. I thought he was going to be able to. Thought he was not going to be able to catch Clark, but absolutely did, and picks up that P4. Clark finishing in 5th. And we're going to get a replay here. I think we are indeed. Yep. So coming down, this is like South Bend and into 11. And losing on the curbs on the outside is Clark. That's the 2nd mistake tonight, but that was a costly one. That's going to cost him a position there on the track. It's not going to cost him a position in class, but it's going to cost him a position overall. So that's going to take him down into P5 and allow McGovern to move up into P4, get a few more points or at least a higher finishing position, but he's still going to fall short of Johnson, who was just on fire as usual tonight, and just walks away with another victory.
Yeah, another victory indeed. And that's, if we go look at the calendar where we're at now, we're on the 5th round. That is his 4th win out of 4 races that he's attended. Great stuff there from Johnson. And we'll see the results up on your screen now. It is indeed Johnson up in 1st position. Aaron Johnson taking the win, 12 seconds behind. In 2nd is Joseph Holman. Anthony Castillo will take 3rd position. Blake McGovern will take 4th with Dan Clark a little bit further down in 5th position, the lead of the VIPs. Peter McKay will take 6th. Joseph Holman, the lead of the club members racing. Peter McKay will take 6th position, and Lonnie Unser taking 7th. Maxwell Fleerman down in 8th position. Ryan Marine in 9th. Nathan Warder, the leader and the winner in class in terms of the team division, but down in 10th overall. Jacob Harder in 11th. And unfortunately, Donnie Leonard down in 12th. Donnie Leonard down in 12th position. The two of them not finishing this race off too strongly. Jacob Harder still making it towards the end, but Leonard DNFing towards the start of this race. So very unfortunate stuff to see there, but what a great amount of racing we've had yet today. We've got a couple of drivers who are indeed ready for the interview box, and we're going to try and pull in, I believe Dan Clark is there for our VIPs. Indeed he is, and we've pulled him up now. Dan Clark, you are live on the Kellymoss KLÜB iRacing Championship here at Apex Racing TV. Welcome in to the commentary box, and talk us through how that race went for you.
That was a lot of fun. I honestly have way more fun driving from the back. I had some really good battles with people there, and was on the Discord with Blake through the whole race, and we just happened to be in the same part of the track almost the whole time, so that was fun. We thankfully didn't take each other out at any point, but I know he was catching me at the end there.
Yeah, we were talking about the student versus coach battles and hoping that it wouldn't turn sour because the Christmas tree combo was looking quite good out on track. But We unfortunately saw a couple of spins there from your side, obviously at the start of the race, and also right here at the end, which caused you to lose the position to Blake McGovern. What was the car telling you during these spins?
That it was telling me the whole race. Not much, really. uh, no, I just hopped on. We did a couple of laps last night, but yeah, I just jumped in and keep proving that you should definitely practice sim racing before you race.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big point if you want to try and get better. But I mean, you still won in the VIP class, so congrats to that. But next week around about, we head to the likes of, and I've just lost it over here. I found it again now. We head to Sebring International for round number 6. How are you feeling for that round?
Yeah, it's that time of year. Career Cup and Sprint Challenge are gonna open at Sebring, so everybody's kind of down there every other week right now. So it's pretty much everyone's second home. Sorry, I'm just watching my spin on the camera there. um, yeah, it's Sebring. We're all gonna be there for a long time for the next month.
Awesome stuff. Well, I mean, is there anybody you'd like to thank or mention before you head out of the commentary box?
Yeah, Blake for not taking me out, and everyone at Kellymoss for putting this on and also taking part. It's really fun getting to race with some of the team guys. It's good banter. They're good guys.
Incredible stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the commentary box. We'll see you next week at Sebring.
There, guys.
Alrighty, and that was Mr. Dan Clark, the winners of the VIP class. Charles, would you like to pull anybody in specific in?
I mean, I could pull in. Let's pull in our race winner, and we'll just have a chat with Aaron Johnson here, real quick. He's probably getting tired of being interviewed after this, but maybe not. Aaron, congratulations on another race victory, 5th race of the season. You've been at 4 of them. You've won 4 of them. So obviously you've got things well in hand. How did you think about VIR tonight?
I like VIR, and the iRacing model of it is really close to the real life one, and I've driven a lot around there, so I always love to do some VIR laps, and no better way to do it than competitively with some Kellymoss friends.
There you go. So when you're prepping for a race like this, coming to a track like VIR, what are you looking at in order to maximize your pace here?
Well, for here, first of all, these are 40-minute races, so you want to see how the tire is going to hold up over 40 minutes. So I did just some long runs on my own just to see how it was going, and it was really easy to burn up the fronts. So just trying to be prepared to save the fronts over the course of a 40-minute race. And qualifying, you just push.
There you go. So next round is at Sebring International Raceway, which is going to be the track du jour here for the next month or so. Is not only in the sim but in real life as well. So what are your thoughts about Sebring?
I'm really happy the series is going there. I'm going to put some extra practice into that one because, like you said, we're all going to be spending some time at Sebring over the next couple months. So I love that track. I was just telling the guys, it. For being a flat, bumpy, old surface track, it flows really well and it races well too. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so congratulations once again on the victory tonight, and we'll let you give any thanks before we let you go.
Yeah, thank you to Victoria and Andy and everyone at Kellymoss for putting this on, and a special thank you to everyone that's joining in week and week out to come compete in it. It's been really fun to bond with everyone. So.
Absolutely. Aaron, once again, congratulations. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Hey, thank you so much.
All right, and
that was Aaron Johnson. Yep.
Yeah, Aaron Johnson indeed. I'm going to pull up Holman, Joseph Holman, who is our winner of the Club Members Championship. Holman, you are live on the Kellymoss Club iRacing Championship here at Apex Racing TV. I mean, talk us through that race. I think it was a bit of a no man's land one for you.
Yeah, I think you basically described the whole race for me. Felt like a 40-minute track day out in overall P2 and with the class win. Happy to take that home. And half of the time I was kind of checking out my track map and looked like the battle between 4th or 8 was pretty intense for the most.
Yeah, there's a pretty big jump around there for McGovern, Clark, Mackay, Unser, and Fleerman. They were all in a pretty tight battle between each other. How was the Porsche feeling, especially towards the end of this 40-minute stint?
For me, it felt good. I was hitting my lap times little, I'd say on target of what I was practicing earlier on this week, so there really wasn't any complaints with the car on my side. I thought it was pretty good handling for the most part.
Great stuff indeed. And then for round number 6, can you believe we're already at round number 5? But round number 6 next week, we head to Sebring International. How are you feeling for that circuit? Have you done that circuit before in the Porsche 992?
I am in the same boat as Sebring as I was for Coda. I have little to no track time on there, so it's going to be a little bit of a grind to get up to pace to some of these other guys at Sebring.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in the practice. But I mean, before you head out of the commentary box, is there anybody you'd like to thank or mention?
Yeah, just all the friends and family that have been supporting me throughout this league and just throughout sim racing. Just thank you, everyone.
Absolutely incredible stuff. It's always great to have the support. But thanks so much for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you next week at Sebring International.
Yeah, take care, guys.
And that was Mr. Joseph Holman. I think we've got time for about 2 or so more interviews. I do see there's a couple there. You want to pick one there, Charles?
Yeah, let's bring in our team class winner, Nate Warda. We'll bring him in and have a chat with him. Nate, congratulations, P10 overall, but more importantly, the team class victory tonight. So, how was your experience here at VIR?
Pretty good. First time here, so it was kind of a learning experience, but enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's a fun track, but I would think that it takes quite a bit of time to really get the rhythm down here. There's so many different things that has to be done here with the backs and forths and the elevation changes. It makes it for a very challenging race.
For sure.
Yeah. So we've got Sebring coming up. So have you got any experience with that track? And what are your thoughts?
Not too much experience there, a little bit of knowledge. Just I know the track surface there is a little bit more rough, so I'm kind of excited to get some practice in this week and try to prepare.
So I've got one question before you can jump back in there, Charles. I just wanted to ask you, I mean, were you in particularly hungry for burgers and getting the reset up?
Yeah, so it kind of started off as a inside joke with the team. We went out to eat, and I had an absurd amount of ketchup with my burger, and so they kind of recommended it to be my livery. And I actually worked with Jacob Harder to get it designed, so it's an in-house design by him, and I've been enjoying running it.
And the double K on your winglet, what does that represent?
So yeah, that's for the Krusty Krab. So the livery came from the paddy wagon from the SpongeBob movie, and it was just kind of ran with it from there.
I see. Okay, no, I mean that's great. We just wanted to get a bit of an insight where it came from. Charles, back over.
Oh yeah, as we were talking about the burgers and beer back row there at the start of the race, so it was brought a little bit of laughter to everybody here in the broadcast booth. So Nate, obviously, congratulations once again. We'll give you a chance to give any thanks before we let you go for the night.
Sounds good. I'd just like to thank my family, friends, and girlfriend for watching. And I'd like to thank Victoria and the Kellymoss team for putting on this event. I'm having a lot of fun.
Awesome, Nate. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you in the next race.
Thank you.
And that was Mr. Nathan Warda, our winner for our team championship. And I believe we're going to call it there for the night. We've interviewed all of our division winners here, and it's been a great night overall of racing. But I mean, final thoughts from your side, Charles, in terms of what you got to experience here today at the Kellymoss.
Obviously VIR is once again, it's a very difficult track, very technical, but great job by everybody. It was a really good race. We had a few off tracks, which what you expect here, couple slowdowns, but no, after the first couple of corners there, everybody settled in, and it was a really good race. Some great battles in the mid pack, and was very happy to be part of it tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was some great racing here tonight. Johnson taking the win again. Holman taking the club member win. Clark taking the VIP win after having an unfortunate spin at the beginning, but managed to work it back up in water, taking the team win down in 10th overall. But that is officially the action done and dusted for tonight for round number 5, the Kellymoss Club iRacing Championship. We head to round number 6 next week at the Sebring International Circuit. Remember, it is an all-American series here in terms of track choice. And so we head yet again to another American circuit of Sebring. A little bit more of a different circuit, concrete based on a couple of the corners and a different cornering style that we've seen often taking what you would think is outside of the track limits, but indeed is in the track limits. So if you've never watched Sebring before, make sure you tune in next week to watch its complicated turns and very confusing track manner as we watch the Porsche 992s tackle it around. But my name has been Tristan Earps, joined in the commentary box by Charles Boschel and Jim Cunningham, bringing you all the fantastic camera angles here for today's racing at Virginia International Raceway. We'll see you next week. Hope you have a great night and see you around. Cheers, cheers.